Hey there, coming to you from a little bit of a different setting today. I'm in the parking garage of the Horseshoe Hammond Casino, and I came down here for a World Series of Poker Circuit event that they're having. It started yesterday, and it will go for the next 10 days, and they have several events. Today, I'm actually playing in a 2 day event. It's a $400 entry to get into the tournament, and if I make it through the field today, I will bag up some chips and we'll be moving on to and coming back here for Sunday for the championship and actually see how I can do in that field. Um, Poker is something that I've been obsessed with recently, actually, probably for the last 2 decades or so. I got started playing poker back when I was in elementary school, actually. All my buddies and I would get together and do a lot of sleepovers. And typically, when we were doing sleepovers, if we were over at Maurice Wolfgang's house or John Jandrziak's house, we would typically end up playing cards into the wee hours of the morning. And in some cases, we would stay up overnight. But it was a lot. We played all different kinds of poker: blind baseball, 7 card stud, 5 card, 1, 2, 3 drop. We would play in between, where you would have 2 cards laid out and you would bet on the chances or likelihood that you would get a card in between. And there would be so many times where somebody would, because when an ace comes out first, you have the opportunity to call it high or low. And so many times people would get that ace out, get excited, call it low, and then that next card was the ace high, and you knew there's literally only 2 cards in the deck that would land in the aces, and if one of those aces hit, you'd have to pay double the pot if you went pot. And I can remember many times where somebody went pot and they had to go to their parents to try to get that $20 to cover the bet that they lost. But it was a lot of fun. I think it really was part of the development of the competition. Definitely a development of the shit talk that me and my friends always, even today, continue to leash or unleash at each other whenever we have an opportunity to talk smack or whatever. But yeah, it was a great game. I have lots of really good memories. I remember having a poker game at my house when I think I was in 6th grade. We had a lot of different people come over. I bought a couple cases of Town Club Pop, charged them like $3 to come and play. We had a table in the living room that was for kind of the more experienced gambly type people, and then we had a kiddie table for the rest of us, which is the one I played at. And we did that throughout the course of an entire night, and it was just a lot of fun. But I had a lot of memories. When I finally started to become aware that there was actually the World Series of Poker in this game called Texas Hold'em, that was probably, I don't know, early 2000s when I first realized it. And I was really interested in it because I never really enjoyed the money aspect of poker. Growing up, I had a little bit of a scarcity mentality. I always wanted to hold on to my dollars, make sure I didn't lose any of those dollars. And so playing for money was a real nerve-wracking proposition for me and not anything I felt really comfortable. But when I saw this tournament format of Texas Hold'em and the World Series of Poker main event, I was really intrigued because it was more about the game and less about the money aspect when you actually looked at the event that was taking place. Sure, they always highlight the fact that you can pay, $10,000 to get into this tournament, and if you win, you're going to win 7 million. So huge return on your investment. But I loved the fact that it was kind of like a last man standing. Everybody entered the field and made decisions throughout the course of the day and or several days, and depending on how well your decisions were and the amount of luck that you received would determine whether you moved on to the next day. So I really like that aspect of it. As I started to think about moving a little bit more out of business, I think I really leaned on poker even more heavily to scratch that competitive itch, because that really is at the root of who I am. I'm a very competitive person, and I need to be satisfying that desire. Otherwise, I feel like I have a huge void. So poker really did that. Another thing that poker's really done for me is it has really, when you are sitting at a poker table, sometimes 12, 13 hours at a time in some of these longer tournaments, you are forced with thousands of micro decisions, sometimes even over a few hours, because every time you get cards, you have to determine, do I want to play this hand? You have to determine where you are based on the action of that table and determine if you have good enough cards to play there. You have to decide whether you're going to call someone's bet. Are they bullshitting, or do they really have those cards? And there's just tons and tons, the size of the bets, all of these different decisions, and you're navigating a lot of variables that you have no idea what they are or what you're up against, just like in life. But I think putting yourself under that extreme amount of pressure, at least for me, throughout the course of that day or that tournament, really helps me when it comes to my decision making, because you recognize I could make a decision right now, and because of variables that I can't control, I lost. I lost a whole lot of chips, but I'm still alive. And now I have to face the prospect of making decisions to try to accumulate more chips to get back in a healthier position. But just the process of that happening, and it could happen multiple times throughout the course of a day, to me is just fascinating. And it really has helped me a lot for emotional maturity, to be able to handle those moments where I get crushed and I don't start to make poor decisions, because typically that's what human beings do when they're underneath pressure, is they start to make bad decisions. So poker really has helped me a lot in that area. I finally played in my first World Series of Poker event. In fact, it was this event that I'm playing in today in 2020 when I first walked into the big auditorium, and there were literally probably 100 or 200 tables, and just listening to the chips just shuffling all around that room. That was pretty much the only sound you heard, unless somebody won a hand and acted as if they won the whole tournament. But it was a fascinating experience. I ended up playing the entire day. I was about 20 minutes before you got to bag chips and move on to the next, and I had a hand, a really good hand, what I thought, and ended up, somebody got really lucky with the last card that came out of the deck and knocked me out of that tournament. And I wasn't disappointed. I was really excited that I was able to make it 12 and a half hours in the event. But I was even more excited about what the possibilities could be going forward. Since that time, the very next tournament I played was in Iowa this past summer, and I made it not to the second day, but I made it to the money line, and actually made some money, and received a world ranking in this website called the Hendon Mob. And it was pretty cool. That was something I had aspired to, but I also felt like I was inserted into the competition on a world ranking perspective. And now it's my job to continue to build and amass as much winnings as I can, which is not necessarily, it's not about the money, but it's about that measuring stick of how well I've done in the long term in a bunch of different tournaments. And so I made it to that money line, got my ranking, played one other time since then, which was my third tournament, and that was at the Ameristar here in Chicago, the World Series of Poker Circuit event. And that one, I went out just on the bubble again, just like the first time. So I bubbled, made some money, bubbled, and here I am again at the event that started it all, the World Series of Poker Circuit event down at the Horseshoe Hammond in Chicago. And getting ready to go into the casino, go through my pre-game ritual or pre-tournament ritual to make sure I'm nice and relaxed. I've had a really good breakfast. I had a good night's sleep last night. Got down here probably about 3 hours before the tournament starts, or 2.5 hours. So now I'm going to go do my routine, and I will check in throughout the tournament at my different breaks. I'm not walking right now and hiking, which is where I usually like to send my videos, but that's because I'm in Hammond, Indiana. And I'm going to go do my walking right now, but it's through the casino, and I'm not secure enough to sit here and record a video as I'm walking through the casino. So I will see you at my next break, and I hope you like this type of video. I know it's different from the rest, but if you like poker, you'll get it. See ya. Bye.